Technology. It's crazy to think that in our own households a couple of decades ago, technology wasn't that massive. You could have a TV, maybe a wristwatch, but now to think that technology is basically everywhere, from Apple Watches to our iPhones to every single thing to our households. Like, technology has gotten to the point to where literally you can't go out without spotting a piece of technology anywhere. This is a handy cam from 2004, although I'm not talking about this today. I will get to this at some point or another. I want to talk about the peak of what would be the smartphone industry, and I have to go into some history about it before, but the iPhone 6. Like a boy, don't treat me like Now, a lot of you are probably gonna ask me, why am I talking about the iPhone 6? There's no point when the iPhone 15 is out. Oh, there's actually a big reason to this. And to think that the iPhone absolutely destroyed the phone industry before in the 2000s. In 2007, this thing made an absolute impact to our phone industry thanks to its capabilities of its touchscreen, and basically threw all the competitors out of the water. It was so big to the point to where 5 years after the iPhone came out, majority of users with phones were iPhone users or had some sort of phone that had a touchscreen, which was massive. But I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about it. That's not the main point of the video. I want to talk about this instead. I know I'm getting crazy, but let's get into the iPhone 6, which the iPhone 6 was a massive deal back in 2014. So big to the point that 10 million units of the iPhone 6 were sold on its first 2 days of being released. Yeah, 2 days after its release date. Smartphones were a massive deal when the iPhone 6 came out. To think that Amazon made a phone, to think that Windows Phone existed, like, the iPhone 6 really had a big difference because, well, it had a bigger display against the iPhone 5S from the previous year. But really, why is this thing so successful? Why? And why is it still being used by many people to this day? Why did Chris Evans say that he wanted an iPhone 6 in 2022?
No, I don't want, I want the iPhone 6.
I know I'm not usually this way, and you're probably wondering, why am I this way? Which is gonna be, I've always wanted an iPhone 6 when I was a kid. Like, always wanted one, and especially in gold. Look at this gold. Now, the main point is that even though the iPhone 6 was a very successful phone, I know a lot of people are gonna say that this phone is a lot less important than the iPhone 10 for the fact that this was a almost fully borderless phone, especially when Samsung released the Samsung Galaxy S8 that same year with almost borderless phone. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna probably say, why are you talking about the iPhone 6? It's not that important anymore. Well, it is massively important. It actually brings up a massive point where this was the peak of the smartphone industry, before borderless phones and foldable phones. To think that this was the point where phones could be looking very different against what they look like. I mean, look at the iPhone. Do you think that this looks like any other phone back in 2014? You think about the Amazon phone, Windows phone, LG, or even so-and-so, maybe like, I don't know, Samsung. You can look at this phone and be like, this does not look like any of those whatsoever. And for good reason. This wasn't really meaning to be identical to any other phones. A lot of other companies had different ideas back then, and I have to say that this was the peak. It was the peak of the phone industry, especially when phones looked different. They felt like they were brand new. They didn't feel like that there was the same recycled design. Samsung and Apple throwing USB-C on our phones. You think that's gonna be enough, Apple? I know that I'm ranting now, but yeah, let's get into some other things which I think that really made this phone sell well. This phone not only had the A8 chip in it, which was a lot faster than the A7, but it was also a lot bigger. It had a 4.7-inch display. The iPhone 6 Plus, which also released alongside this, had a 5.5-inch display, which was massive. Phones were getting massive to the point to where Samsung made a phone, which was a lot bigger, and it was like, yeah, it was successful. So why not make the iPhone a lot bigger? You can see the wall wallpaper now. It's a vintage iOS 8 wallpaper. But the iPhone 6 had just a lot more going for it. It had the better cameras, which could do 1080p at 60 frames per second and a lot of that other stuff. The design was a lot more different. As you can see, it's a lot different. I do actually have an iPhone SE here, which is almost looking identical, but I love this design. This design here is my favorite design for all the iPhones, which I know a lot of people are gonna say the iPhone 5S design is better. The iPhone 4 design was better. But this to me really speaks out character. It's kind of like the iPhone 2G. It doesn't look perfect, but speaks character. It speaks character. I mean, this looks really good with the antenna bands. It just looks good. But another thing which was a disadvantage with this design was Bendgate. Yeah, Unbox Therapy made a video which made this nationwide news. I think even global news even. You could bend the phone if you had an iPhone 6 Plus. This iPhone definitely made a lot of people realize that they needed a case on their phones. This was at a point where the iPhone really had its peak. I have to say that, honestly, I think this was one of the last innovations for the iPhone. Like, really, look at it. It's really a different design. The iPhone 7 has a different design, but not a great design at all. It just looks uggo. But not the main point. My main point is that I just wanted to make a short video kind of explaining why I thought that the iPhone, or generally the phone industry, had a peak, which was 2014, when phones felt different. I mean, I know that Samsung made the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge in 2015, which looks beautiful, by the way. I think that until the Note 7 came in and absolutely blew up in people's faces. I really do love the iPhone 6 design. The iPhone 6 design really does represent a different time when phones really did look different, and they didn't go with the exact same thing. They had different feature sets. They had different moments where like different cameras. All that stuff was different. The iPhone 6 really represented that time too, when the antenna bands and all that stuff, the design was different. Everything was different with the phones. I really do not know what the conclusion of this video. I probably wasted a lot of people's time because, well, I kept ranting and stuff like that, but yeah, I love the iPhone 6 design. It's a good design. This feels like it fits in today's world. So I want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry this video is all over the place. I don't usually tend to make videos like this. Technically I do because it's commentary, but you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. So comment, like, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in another video. Actually, I have a video coming out this Monday, which I'll let you guys know of. Bye.